and the other is left behind. It's just what's happening today. Now going back up to my text, did you catch it in verse 37? It said the arrival of the Son of Man will take place like in Noah's time. Now I'm pretty sure that everybody has heard the story of Noah and the ark. Noah was commissioned by God to build this huge ark. God had warned Noah that he was going to destroy the earth in the flood. So he began building the ark. Noah also was warning people and telling them, hey, get your life right. Because God said he's about to send a flood and he's going to destroy the place. Now I can only imagine that they was walking around, eating, going down the True Kitchen, getting married, Whataburger, just going about their business, going to Jamaica and Cabo, just going about their business, not thinking about what Noah said. He warned them. He talked to them. But they questioned what he was doing. They thought he was crazy, I'm sure. They were going about their business, having a good time. The sons of God married the daughters of mankind. The Nephilim were roaming about and wickedness was taking over. Until Noah boarded the ark and the flood hit like Katrina and swept everything away. The Bible says that every source of water burst open. The floodgates of the sky were open and the rain fell on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Only those that God commanded entered the ark. The Lord shut them in. Water surged 20 feet above the earth and swallowed every living thing. Can I ask you on this morning, are you ready? Are you ready for when Jesus comes? We must stay ready. And like the young folks say, we must stay woke. Am I saying that right? I got a new slang going on now. Woke might have been a couple of years ago. So you ask me, prophetess, how do we get ready and stay ready? Number one, acknowledge who you are in God. Yes. Stop pity-patting around here. Ain't nothing for me to do. I'm just going to clean the bathroom. Acknowledge who you are in God. He might help you to clean the bathroom, but your job is to also help to spread the gospel across the world. Yes. Number two, embrace every opportunity that is pushing you toward your destiny. Yes. I know you're going to say, well, I'm scared, I'm afraid, but do it anyway. Yes. Number three, get out of the box. Get out of the box. Now, I work for Adult Protective Services, and I go into nursing homes and to the elderly's houses and different places like that. So there's these two men at this one nursing home that I visit frequently, and I call them the Bruise Brothers. So I go in there, and the eldest brother, he's a reverend. And they told me many stories about how they have traveled the world, playing the blues, and spreading the word of the Lord. So on this particular visit, when I went in there, the reverend was telling me that they had a new pastor that was going to be working in a chaplain at a nursing home. And he was so excited because he was like, I'm going to hear them and I'm going to do this and this and that. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I go back in about 2 weeks and I talk to the reverend and he depressed, he's sad, he upset. And I said, well, what's going on? You know, he was just excited about going in the chaplain with the pastor. And he said, well, the pastor said gathering with the sinners, going to weddings, making wine out of water, eating and hanging out in the streets, not doing what the religious leaders wanted him to do. So John sent his friends back to ask Jesus, are you the one that we've been waiting on? Or shall we be looking for somebody else? So Jesus said to him, now I know a lot of people think when Jesus was sweet, Jesus wasn't no problem. Jesus said to them, you go back and tell John what you see. That the blind now see. That the lame walk. The lepers are healed. The deaf hear and the dead is now alive. You go back and tell him what you see. Jesus in essence was telling them to check my fruit and get out the box. Jesus came here to do something new. He came here to do something different. We must be in the mindset, in this disposition to receive the new change that Jesus is doing right now. Now I know many of y'all Bible thumpers want to tell me that God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. What do you mean he come to do something new? And you are ready to tell me all about his unchanging nature. They say, Jesus, God don't change. But yet you fail to realize that yes, God is. But at the same time, the Holy Spirit is taking us from glory to glory. In Nicodemus, in John 3:88, Jesus explained to Nicodemus that those living by the Spirit will be changing and moving constantly. He said it's like when the wind blows, where you hear the sound of it, but you don't know where it's coming from. So is everyone who is born of the Spirit. In this verse, Jesus is comparing the work of the Spirit to the wind, and the way that the wind causes effects in the world without being seen and without being controlled by us. He come to do something new. Now moving with the Holy Spirit, it demands a relinquishing of your will. Just like in worship this morning, he couldn't hold it no more. Praise be to God. Glory! It's a relinquishing of your will. It's a I surrender. It's a yes, God. I will be seated at your feet. When that word just hit your spirit, and you have to relinquish your will. You have to give him an I don't want to, but I will. Hallelujah. Now when I was studying, I definitely wanted to talk to y'all and say, don't put God in a box. But God said, no, tell him I said to get out of the box. That you have put yourself in a box. You have been holding back and limiting what you need to do for me. Now is the time to move, grow, and be free. Get out of the box. Get outside of yourself and be like Noah and do something different. You have been sticking to the status quo, but what is God telling you to do? You've been playing it safe, but you were born to be a disruptor. You were born to make a change. You were born to do something different. You were born to build the ark and set captives free. Now it shall spring forward. Shall ye not know it? Yes. I'll make a way in the wilderness. Anybody ever been in the wilderness? Anybody ever been in the wilderness? And rivers in the desert? When I think about the wilderness, I begin to think about Moses and the Israelites walking through the wilderness. While they were walking through the wilderness, Moses told us later on that God had spoke to him and said, you have skirted around this mountain long enough. Turn northward. In other words, turn to my place of dwelling. Turn to where my glory resides, where I can provide you with a safe place of passage. Turn northward. God had watched them come out of Egypt, wander in the wilderness, circling for 40 years, moving along and around the border of the promise. This is what we do right here. I'm going to pray up here. I ain't going to get back there. Wandering around the border of the promise. Come on, somebody. There's somebody in here today. You've been just skipping around the promise. You didn't go northward. This is what we've been doing. Walking safely around the edge of where your destiny is. Much like us. I'll sing, but I ain't going to go all in. I pray, but I ain't going to cry. I'll help them, but I ain't going to smile about it. God commanded them to turn northward so they could make safe passage and inherit the promise. He said, go this way. How can you make safe passage? By being lifted up a little bit higher. You ain't got to get beat up. Come on. If you would just relinquish your will, he will provide you with a safe passage. Because he going to lift you a little bit higher. He going to part the Red Sea and let you walk right through it. If you will just relinquish your will. Hallelujah. When you stop moving along the border of what he's called you to do, you'll reap a reward. You'll get to the promised land. You'll get the victory for his name's sake. Well, yes, you come to church, but are you really in this thing? Are you really in this thing? Are you really in alignment with this divine shift and what's happening right now? Or are you stuck in the box? Are you running toward the mark of a higher calling in Christ and lose sight of our destiny. But in the movie, there's this monkey called Rafiki. At one point in the movie, Rafiki comes and he starts talking to Simba, and he tells Simba, follow me. I know the way. In essence, he's telling Simba that I know the way to get you back to you. Oh, that's good. I know the way to get you to your destiny. I know the way to get you to your hidden treasure. In the story, we can be reminded that after the darkness, the promise comes. After the rain, the sunshine shall appear. After you find yourself. After the pain. That was a story. After the pain, you come. I need somebody to sing for me. After the pain, you remember your hidden treasure that's inside of you. He was the king of the jungle. Follow me, I know the way. He was raised and groomed to be the king of the jungle. He was the lion king. God says, follow me. Go this way. You might be scared, but do it anyway. Do it anyway. Hallelujah. Step out of the box and do it anyway. Can I tell you that God is calling us on today to do the radical thing, to do the thing that is so different from what has been done before. We must follow the mark of Jesus. Jesus didn't do anything that he didn't see his Father do. Many of us are scared to get outside of the box. But we have to be connected to what the Father does. Jesus moved and worked and healed and delivered out of this concept, which led him to do things that didn't make sense to anybody else. He waited 2 days when Lazarus died to come and raise him from the dead, just so that you could see the glory of God. He went into Jerusalem and other places despite knowing they wanted to kill him. He fed 5,000 people with a few loaves of bread and fish. Just radical. Despite the disciples saying, what we gonna do with this? What we gonna do with this, Pastor? It ain't but 12 loaves. Wasn't but 12 disciples either. They need a whole lot. You the reason that what they did. The reason why you sitting here today, the 12 disciples. He simply did things differently. He was sold out to God. He didn't care what people thought. He didn't care. What about you? What about you? Have you been to any place where you saw somebody doing something radical? Have you stepped outside of the box and done something that you've never done before? A couple of years ago, I went to this R&B jazz concert. Go ahead and play that for me, sir. And the lady on the ticket, her name was Lettucey. I did a little research. Her name means in Nigerian to bring forth or to come here in Nigerian. But went to this concert, and after her first set, she said, "I'm gonna do something different on tonight." She said, "We're gonna bring the juke joint to the church, to the juke joint." She began to share her story and how God had elevated her high above principalities, powers, and wickedness in high places. How she was so grateful she was ready. She followed what she saw her father do. Glory be to God. Are you ready on today? Are you ready on today? In Matthew 24:14, it says, 14:14, it says the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Are you ready? God is calling his soldiers on the day. There's no way that we can reach the whole world if we all in a box. There's no ways that we can reach the whole world if I'm doing what you're doing. And it's people that need what you're doing. Will you be ready? Will you be ready when Jesus comes? Will you be about his business? Or will you still be in the wilderness? Ask yourself on today, why am I still here? Why have I not been taken up? This ain't no joke. He's not playing. Playtime is over. Why are you still here? What's my assignment, Lord? What do I need to do to fix my life so I can be ready? What do I need to change in my heart? How's your heart on today? How is your heart on today? Because you can surrender your will and have a nasty Hallelujah. Glory be to God. Pastor, you're not under a threat. You are the threat. You are the threat.